Welcome back, adventurer. Today's creature has been described as a red, little, toothless frog with octopus parts for fingers and toes. If that's caught your ear, then come along and pull up a stool at Creature Tavern. Hello there, my darling adventurer. Come, pull up a stool as we crack on with our creature for today. The Yara Ma Yha Who from Australian Aboriginal Folklore. Often spoke of as a vampiric monster with traits unlike any European counterpart. This being was first recorded during the early 1900s by David Unipon, an Aboriginal Australian preacher, with some sources placing the first encounter specifically in 1925. Although a vampiric entity, it doesn't share the elegant human-adjacent characteristics of more Western vampires. Instead, it's something far more primal and unique, tends to be the word that comes to mind. Folks paint the Yara Ma Yha Who as small in stature, no taller than a 10-year-old child, with most accounts suggesting a height of 3 to 4 feet max. Despite its size, its proportions are unsurprisingly unsettling. The creature has spindly limbs, a bloated, paunchy belly. Its skin is a dark, vivid red, and is sometimes said to be covered in a fine layer of fur. The head's disproportionately large, often dominating its upper body. And the face is particularly disturbing in my opinion, featuring a wide gaping mouth that takes up most of the space, and said to be like that of a frog's, completely devoid of anything remotely resembling teeth. This makes it quite the anomaly among creatures described as vampiric. Its long arms and legs end in strange hands and feet, adorned with octopus-like suckers that sit at the tips of its fingers and toes. So where do you reckon you'll find this octopus frog boy? In the waters, perhaps? Maybe a puddle or a pint? Well, no. You couldn't be further from the truth. It's fig trees, of course. Fig trees from all around Sydney, the Hunter Valley, Melbourne, Murray Valley, Queensland, Perth, pretty much all over Australia. So next time you're down under, look up. And if you see something that looks like a dry plum, you've got yourself a fig tree. Unlike regular predators like lions, crocodiles, or people around parks without any kids that stalk or chase their prey, this mini vampire loves a good ambush, and it doesn't mind waiting for the right prey either. You won't find them roaming the forest floor. Instead, it climbs high into the sprawling branches of a fig tree and waits. Heard stories claiming they'll sometimes sit up there for days or even months, watching the world pass till their prey shows its face. And like a lot of predators, its favourite victims are children. Though any living being that lingers beneath its tree for a little too long will do. Beggars can't be choosers after all. When the opportunity presents itself, the Yara Ma Yha Who descends, dropping with more precision than you'd expect, and latching on those grubby little suckers. These suckers serve as its feeding apparatus, fastening tightly to the skin as it begins its gruesome suck. With startling speed, it drains your blood, allowing just enough left to leave you hovering on the brink of death. You'll faint for sure, but you will not die. Some might say this code brands the Yara Ma Yha Who as a cruel creature. They never kill, for why eat in one sitting what can sustain you for many? So now you've had your blood drained. Is that it? Nope. The next stage of its ritualistic process will begin to unfold. After quenching its thirst, the Yara Ma Yha Who swallows their weekend dinner whole, head first. Its distensible mouth, throat and belly stretching monstrously to accommodate your body with ease. Folks say to aid in the swallowing, it performs a gleeful little dance. And like we all do after a big meal, it then goes off to have a little drink of water before curling up for a nice long nap. When it's had its Z's, the creature regurgitates the person alive and completely unharmed, but forever changed. You may notice your friends look taller and that you can't quite reach that shelf you used to be able to. That's because you've been spat out smaller than before. And if you're unfortunate enough to suffer this dinner date again, the transformation repeats. The second time, you'll emerge shorter still, but now stripped of every hair. And by the third, you'll shrink further and now sprout a coarse coat of hair covering your entire body. With each cycle, you'll lose more of your humanity as you edge ever closer to becoming a Yara Ma Yha Who. Considering this disturbing result, I bet it'll shock you to hear that children were once warned to lie still and submit to the attack rather than resist. Maybe after the first swallowing they learned to steer clear of fig trees. Some accounts carry an even darker warning. The Yara Ma Yha Who were never meant to be seen. And should anyone glimpse one, the creature would, and I quote, get rid of them. A kind of cryptic phrase, but I reckon you can pick up on what that's supposed to mean. It's said when angered, the red boys get all sorts riled up. If his prey manages to escape, the Yara Ma Yha Who will not forget this slight, and it'll exact revenge by draining all the water from the local wells and nearby watering holes, leaving nothing but parched earth and desperation, forcing locals in seek of moisture to draw sap from trees, bringing them into the Yara Ma Yha Who's domain, where the cycle begins anew. Though no taller than a child, I wouldn't recommend you try fighting one of these off. The Yara Ma Yha Who is said to be surprisingly strong. Folks say they'll overpower even the mightiest man or woman with ease. And their physical feats don't end there. Considering the unusual physical design, the Yara Ma Yha Who has a mastery of its environment. It moves with terrifying agility among the branches of its figgy lookout, though on ground its gait is reduced to an awkward waddle. So to survive a Yara Ma Yha Who, you'll need patience, skill, speed, and a keen eye for the time of day. First things first, the Yara Ma Yha Who only hunts during the day. So get yourself out for a night walk if you fancy fig picking, and you'll be A-OK. Playing dead's also said to work, as the creature only sucks on living prey. But you'll need to keep up this act till nightfall, and endure a series of unusual trials. First, the Yara Ma Yha Who walks 5 paces, returns, and pokes your sides with a stick. If there's no reaction, it now walks 10 paces, returns, and tickles you under the arm and neck. If still no reaction, it walks 50 yards, then returns to tickle you once more. If you don't react to any of this, you'll be left alone, with all your blood on the inside. And now that you've passed these tests, I'd recommend you leg it. Like I mentioned earlier, the Yara Ma Yha Who are nimble as chimps when in the trees, but its spindly limbs and swollen stomach cause it to stumble when it tries to give chase on land. And with that, we're finished with our creature for the day. We've learned that if you need a place to stay for the night, and you don't mind being a little short the morning after, then you should do a little fig picking. And that bell means it's last call here at Creature Tavern. So grab yourself one more drink for the road, and until next time, tread carefully, adventurer. You never know when you might wander into the weird